Can I get some closure? Stay right where you are and don't come closer. If you haven't picked it up, it's over. You wanted her, so just give me what I...
Hey gamers and gamettes, what is going on? My name is Kinetic127 and welcome back to another Skyforge video. And before we get into today's video, guys, as usual, let me do my shameless plugins. If you're not, make sure you're following me at the appropriate social media at Kinetic127, which includes Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And if you want more Skyforge news, updates, guides, videos, and stuff like that, make sure you guys are letting me know down in the comments below, liking today's video, smashing that thumbs up button for me. Shit, those are the same thing, so my bad. And ring that silly little bell because YouTube likes boning content creators with notifications and views. But what is going on, guys? Welcome back. Not only am I making today's Skyforge video to help the new Switch players who are coming along, but also, if you guys have been around my channel for a long time, a lot of Skyforge players on my channel have asked for this. My class video is very outdated. It is from early 2017, before the PlayStation 4 version got here. So regardless of the Switch version coming out or not, I think we can all agree it's time for a new Skyforge class video. Now, disclaimer, I don't have all these classes unlocked. So for some of these, I will be just showing video footage to give you an idea and a glimpse of the class. But don't worry, Skyforge's trailers include gameplay and they can show you the classes pretty heavily. But yeah. I'm making this guide because, you know, class grinding in Skyforge requires a special currency. You can purchase them with real cash, but you can also grind them by doing dailies, PvP, and stuff like that. But it's a real grindy, tedious process. And I'm going to be realistic. The developers don't show any signs of changing this. So I think the best I can do is give you a preview of every single one. So that way you can decide on what you're going to buy. Now, one other thing I want to tell you about classes is a lot of people are going to recommend for beginners to go with ranged classes. I'm not going to say ranged classes are overpowered, broken, or anything like that, but when you play this game and you do a lot of raids and you get to your endgame content, you're going to learn that ranged classes in this game are a lot more favored upon than some of the melee classes. But all classes are good in their own way, but I just want you guys, I want to be honest with you guys, and I want you to keep that in mind. So the first class we're going to go over is the Lightbinder. Now you're going to assume that directly this is just your typical healer. No, it's a support class. Technically there are no healers in Skyforge except two classes, that have a healing ability. But this is your Lightbinder. This is a support class. What you do is you buff teammates, you give them shields, you make the fight easier for your group. That's basically what you do. You make things work. You make things simple for everybody. You're not healing anybody, so don't get confused. Don't think that's the gist of it. You're not a healer. You're a DPS that is supporting the team. You buff people, you give them shields, you make them take less damage. But anyway, down to the next class. This is a really cool one. This is the Soundweaver. This is Skyforge's version of a bard. But this bard's cool. Instead of, the typical harp and, little wings and stuff like that, this guy's rocking the techno outfit and he's using the electric guitar. And I'm not kidding. He's blasting his sound waves everywhere. And also, this is another support class. He also has an ultimate that you can unlock later on that gives you a healing ability. But like I said before, it's just a DPS with supportability, so do keep that in mind. You literally support your team and do damage to enemies by playing instrument notes and handling your rotation with this guitar properly. And no, I'm dead serious about that. I'm not kidding. The next class we have, this is the Alchemist. This is also another class with a healing ability. Now the cool thing about this class is its healing ability can be used right away. It is one of its ultimate attacks, but it has a really long cooldown, and it can spray down a healing ability by jumping into the air and just basically peeing this jet stream all over your teammates. And no, I'm not kidding. So when you see an Alchemist in the air spraying liquid down on everybody, open wide, oh, there you go. There's a perfect example of somebody doing it right now. As a matter of fact, lift your head up, open wide, and take it like a champion. And I mean that in the most non-perverted way possible. Now, those are support classes. We're going to move on to the tanks. And don't let me freak you out here, because this is going to sound crazy. This is the Grove Walker, a.k.a. your Druid class. Yes, and you're probably confused. This is a tank. That's going to sound weird to you. Now, in my honest opinion, I play Grove Walker as a DPS. You can build your classes in different unique ways in here with all kinds of different buffs, weapons, different things you can put on stats, stat changes, and things like that. There's all kinds of different stuff you can do. But I personally play Grove Walker as more of a DPS, but it's built to be a tank. It has a lot of abilities that are meant for helping the team. It can also turn into this really giant creature that's just, meant to confront a raid boss one-on-one and pound him into the floor. I kid you guys not. But it has a bunch of nature-based AoE magic attacks. It's pretty much what you would expect out of a druid class. But like I said, people are going to say this one's a tank, but I would say this is a DPS with high defense. But that's just my personal opinion. Okay, next we have your typical Paladin. Very straightforward, sword, shield, slice. The cool thing about this guy is great tank, but he is, to my opinion at least, a lot better at handling single target aggro pulling, AoE aggro pulling, if that makes any sense. He's a lot more for taking a target one-on-one than grabbing multiple targets at a time. I ended up learning that pretty early on in the game. Now that's just my opinion, but there are things he can do, that are AoE wise, that can handle multiple enemies and stuff like that. He does have his own built-in shield, and this guy has a lot of sustainability. If you build a Paladin right, this guy can take no damage at all. If you build him right, pop your shields properly in rotation and stuff like that, this class can literally be invincible in a fight if you play him properly. I kid you guys not. The Paladin is definitely a solid tank. Don't sleep on it. Now, the Knight. This is a cool class, shield and spear. This is your guy that you're going to use for like massive pulling of mobs and stuff like that, because he has an AoE move where he slams the ground or something that you can almost just spam over and over and over again and just grab a billion enemies at once and yell, "Come at me, bro!" And I'm not kidding. Literally, he can do that. He also has this little bird that you can bring by your side to help you with attacks and all kinds of things. The Knight is a really good, solid class. You're probably going to see that Knight is a bit more of the more popular tank than the Paladin. Like I said, it's just he's a lot more built for taking on more enemies at a time. If that makes any sense. Now, next we are going to go into the ranged DPS section. Now, the DPS are all pretty simple. This is the Cryomancer. I'm going to make this really simple for you guys. This is your Ice Mage. That's literally what it is. Just built in, Skyforge tech with technology. All ice-based attacks. Everything, is ice AoE based. Very powerful class for beginners. If you want something good to start with that does a lot of damage, can shut a lot of people down, can crowd control very good, and stuff like that, this is a great class to use. I kid you guys not, and it does. Trust me, it does damage. When you test it out for yourself, you'll see. Our next class here, this is the Firestarter. Now, this is basically your typical fire-based mage. He has one really cool ability though, where he can turn into like a flaming tiger thing. But basically, he just tosses around fire attacks, breathes out fire and different things like that. He has some really cool AoE abilities and different things he can do, but it's basically the difference between him and Cryomancer. One's ice, one's fire. They're both great classes, do decent amount of damage. With those two, it really depends on what you like. I wouldn't say which one's better out of these guys. Now, this is your Kinetic, your gravity-based mage. And I know I keep calling these guys mages, but if you go to a typical MMO, it's the best way to compare them. Also good at supporting and defending the team, but has a lot of gravity-based attacks as well. Very solid class for crowd control. He doesn't do, billions and billions of damage like the Cryomancer does, but he's good at controlling enemies and manipulating the situation. A lot of people sleep on the Kinetic, but don't let this class fool you, especially PvP. I've seen this guy lift multiple people into the air in a PvP match at once, and you know, they got spanked because they were floating. Like, literally. Alright. Next class is our Necromancer. This is going to be your summoner class for this game. Except, you know, obviously necro style abilities, dark magic and things like that. But this is your Necromancer class. Can turn into a full-on Grim Reaper and just I kid you guys not. I have no other way to explain this guy. Really cool AoE based class. Can summon little minions to go on and kill and stuff like that. If you like summoning little creatures and stuff and having them attack for you and just doing crazy amounts of, you know, damage as well, the Necromancer is a very good choice. Alright, now this is your Warlock, your typical dark magic witch-like class. This is more so your basic mage in this game. Rides the broomstick, has some pretty cool AoE moves, but do not sleep on this class. Another thing about this class is it does pretty good with his manipulation as well. But it is a very high DPS class, very powerful, but it does have a bit of a complex rotation on it. This is the kind of class I would recommend, you know, you watch a couple guides on and learn how to play properly before diving into it. It's a fun class, don't get me wrong, but a skilled witch or warlock, you know, depending on what type of character you're playing, it does take a lot of practice. This is one that I've been playing Skyforge for about 3 or 4 years now. This is one I'm still, you know, trying to get the hang of. So, but next we're going to move into our melee DPS. We're going to go into my favorite, the Berserker. Plain and simple, great sword, crazy guy, screams, slam, spin to win, bam. Okay, if you want to walk around like Cloud Strife with a big sword, and you know just do damage and wreck stuff, Berserker is your class. Okay, the guy with the saw chainsword is the one with the slamming around stuff, killing people, and yada 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 with the spin to win. Don't confuse Berserker with Revenant. If you want to spin to win, go Berserker. Chainsword. Remember that. Don't forget it. Real simple. Next class is the Monk, aka what I like to call the Stun Master, because that's what this class is built around. A lot of people sleep on Monk because of, you know, it's not too crazy in the DPS department. Monk is really good for stunning and putting enemies on their ass. And the thing is, right, a Monk may not knock your HP bar down by half in one single blow, but if a Monk knocks you down over and over and just keeps chipping at it slowly, you're going to be dead before you even realize it. And I'm dead serious. I've seen so many people sleep on this class. It's unreal. Monk. But it does take some practice, some getting used to. It also has 3 different forms. It has an earth form, a wind form, and I believe a lightning form if I'm not mistaken. And it's a little, I'm not going to say a little bit complex to play. Not as complex as Witch or Warlock, but Monk is definitely one of those classes that are up there. Now, the next, and one of my other personal favorites, Revenant. This is your Dark Knight. And God, man, oh man, I wish that this class would have been a giant 2-hand great swording wielding dude instead of an axe. Or, hell, I hope they even give him a great sword-like weapon as a skin one day. But this is your typical Dark Knight. Dark attacks, but he's also one of the only classes in the game who can restore himself too. He has a life siphon ability that sucks HP out of enemies. Yes, so he's very dependent on keeping himself alive. Can also be used as an off tank, but I would recommend just sticking to this guy as a DPS. That's my honest recommendation. Build him to get as much damage as you can out of him, because that is what he's good for. He's built for taking damage, being up front into the fight. That's what you do. That's what you do with this man, literally. Alright. The next class you have is the Slayer. Now, the Slayer is a really cool one. These are guys that are good for speed, manipulation, hiding, critical damage, and stuff like that. They're not crazy, you know, with straight up single target damage. They're pretty decent in AoE, but These guys are more so critical attacks, want to get behind the enemy, evade the enemy, and stuff like that. They're about their speed. They're about dodging. If you just play this class straight up, without knowing how to utilize its attacks in the right situation, you're going to be a little upset. And I've seen people get disappointed with it easily. Again, one of those semi-complex classes, I would definitely watch some guides and learn him before you decide to purchase him. That's just my recommendation. Next class we have is the Archer. Very self-explanatory, very simple. Bow and arrow, fire. Again, this guy also has different elements, kind of like how the monk does as well, where he fires. But basically, the Archer is probably one of the most powerful long-range DPS in the game, and don't let its simplicity fool you. Archers can destroy. One of my old Pantheon leaders was a very talented archer, and he used to always kill us on the DPS board. And there were times where I was just looking at Hal, my good buddy Asylum. He even plays as archer as well. It is a very solid class, a little bit difficult to master. We'll take you some learning, but fun to play nonetheless. The next one is the Outlaw. Now, this is a simple gunslinger class that I would highly recommend for beginners. If you like gunslinger style classes, if you like playing range classes that are just basically really chill, hang back, don't require too much effort to learn, then Outlaw is definitely one of those classes. Some people have wanted to call Outlaw overpowered. I wouldn't say Outlaw is overpowered or broken, especially with some of the classes that we've had released in this game, but it's definitely, it gives a lot of DPS, and it's really simple to play. If you're new to the game and you want to learn your raids and stuff like that and do them casually and stuff, Outlaw is definitely a good way to go. And last but not least, we have the Gunner. This is basically another gun range-based class, except my man is holding a minigun. Very good at AoE attacks, crazy blast abilities, also solid single target damage, and once again, not very, very difficult to play. A little bit more complex than Outlaw, but nowhere near as complex as something like Witch or Monk. But it is a very fun and enjoyable class, and I would honestly recommend Gunner as well. But if you want a good class for beginners, guys, honestly, and especially if you like range classes, I would say Outlaw. But that's going to wrap it up for all the classes currently in Skyforge as of right now, as of 2020. A few years from now, I'll probably have to make an updated guide like this again, like I just did with the last one from 3 years ago. But anyway, guys, y'all enjoyed this video? Smash that thumbs up button for me. And I want to thank you all so much for watching. It's your boy, Necromancer127. And please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and I will see you guys next video. Till next time, peace out. Take care.